Meet the ESR Flex iPad keyboard case, a $50 contender going head to head with some of Amazon's best-selling keyboard cases right now. This video isn't sponsored, but I have had a lot of people suggest that I take a look at this case. So how does the ESR Flex compare against other budget keyboard cases, such as the Inateck AceTouch? And is it possible that this reasonably affordable keyboard case could compete with the likes of the Apple Magic Keyboard or the Logitech Flip Folio? Let's take a look. The ESR Flex keyboard case is compatible with the 11th and 10th generation iPads, as well as the 5th and 4th generation iPad Air. It only comes in a single color, which is this nice charcoal gray. It has a fully detachable 10-keyless keyboard with an extra large precision touchpad and a tidy cutaway to store your pen should you need one. This case is just 6.9mm thick and weighs 530 grams. I'm going to break this review down into sections, starting with the keyboard. Straight off the bat, I have to say there isn't a lot about the keyboard that I don't like. It has a traditional Mac keyboard layout, USB-C charging and Bluetooth connectivity, which you'll use to actually connect it to the iPad. The keyboard easily detaches and reattaches to and from the case, thanks to the two incredibly strong magnets that sit on the end of this strong piece of flexible rubbery plastic. The battery can reach full charge in 2 hours, and according to their website can last up to 60 days, based on 2 hours of usage a day. And there is a battery light that comes on when it's low or when it's charging. The keys feel nice and responsive, which is a pro, as other keyboard cases around this price range often feel a bit mushy. These are quite nice, and they give a nice click when they're pressed. The plastic the keyboard shell is made out of doesn't feel as strong as the other half of the case does. It could probably take a drop or two, but I wouldn't feel confident putting that to the test. That being said, the plastic does make it feel very light. It has 4 rubber feet on the bottom to stop it from sliding around whilst in use, and has magnets on the trackpad edge to help lock the iPad and keep the case folded up. Speaking of the trackpad, it apparently has a 65% larger trackpad than other leading brands. If I compare that to the Inateck AceTouch's trackpad that I have here, then you can see that it is substantially bigger. It also has full gesture controls, which means you could do all the usual gestures that you would normally do on your iPad screen itself. For example, zooming or swiping. It is also worth noting though that you can't just click anywhere on the trackpad, only towards the bottom half. As the keyboard is connected by Bluetooth, you can of course detach the keyboard and continue using it should you wish to put the iPad somewhere else whilst continue typing. It is a completely flat keyboard, so it can hurt your wrists after long sessions. There's barely any latency that I can see when typing, however the trackpad does have the usual latency that Bluetooth trackpads seem to have on iPads. That said, it's not unusable and it's something that you can get used to. It just makes it a bit difficult to begin with when trying to click things like cells in Google Sheets. Overall, I really like the keyboard and trackpad. Now, let's take a look at the case. On first impression, I think this case looks nice. It feels sturdy and has a good rubbery type of material stuck to the back, which does look nice and will provide extra protection, but as it's been stuck on, I have a feeling that after some heavy use, this might start to peel off a bit. The edges of the case feel strong and has gaps in all the necessary places for ports, cameras, vents, and buttons, but that's not including the volume buttons, which actually have their own buttons built into the case. And these are surprisingly well built and have very little wobble. The corners are also slightly reinforced to improve protection from those nasty corner drops. You also have a nice little magnetized slot to store your Apple Pen, which is something that I think most cases miss. It's really nice to be able to keep all my gear together, as I often travel around and like to work on my thumbnails in different places. The stand only offers one position, but this enables you to use the iPad at either a 65 or 20-degree angle. Opening the stand is a bit of a pain, but it is sturdy once it's set up. You have to get your fingers under the magnetized part of the case and lift it. Once you're done, flip it onto its front and push on the bottom of the tab, where it says push, and it will fold back down nicely. Outside of the possibility that the material on the back might come unstuck, and the mildly fiddly stand, I have to say there's no real issues with the case, and I fully trust my iPad not to fall out of this thing. So how does the ESR Flex compare to other keyboard cases in this price range? As I alluded to earlier, I have here the Inateck AceTouch keyboard case, which is in roughly the same price range as the ESR Flex. Now, there is a lot to like about both cases, but to give you a quick comparison, both offer an equal level of protection, but the ESR Flex looks more premium. I do think though that the leather material on the Inateck is less likely to peel as it's not hanging over the edge of the case. Both have great battery lives and the keyboards are equally easy to use, but I do think that the ESR takes the victory when it comes to trackpads. It's bigger than the AceTouch and has more surface area to click, but both cases do still have issues with trackpad latency. The fact that I can carry my pen with me is a huge bonus for the ESR Flex, but I appreciate not everyone has an Apple Pen, so having a big gap at the top of the case might bother some. Finally, the stand. The Inateck AceTouch is easier to pull out and can be placed at pretty much any angle you want, but it does leave a huge gap in the back that often collects dirt. The ESR Flex, however, is much simpler. I think it looks nicer, but it is a pain to pop out and can only have one position. So, should you buy the ESR Flex? Absolutely. I actually can't believe this case is just $50 on Amazon right now. There is just so much value here for your money. It has just about everything you could want from a keyboard case. It's lightweight, has a long battery life, provides good protection, it's responsive, has a place to put my pen, it looks nice, and it feels like it's going to last. Of course, it still has the usual iPad keyboard case Bluetooth issues with trackpad latency, and I still hate that I can't just fold the keyboard around the back of the case without risking it coming apart, but that seems to be a more general issue with keyboard cases than with this case specifically. If you're looking for an affordable iPad keyboard case, then I don't think you can go wrong with the ESR Flex iPad keyboard case. As always, I've included affiliate links at the bottom of this video in the description. Remember to drop me a sub if you want to see more tech reviews like this, and I'll see you in the next one.